Full spoilers for The Flash. Is The Flash one of the greatest superhero movies of all time? No. Was the PR hype overblown? Hell yes. Is it better than anyone expected? Yes. Is it a fun movie with a surprisingly emotional core bolstered by some good action? Actually yes. Is it sullied by a bunch of horribly rendered, morally questionable cameos in the last 15 minutes? Unfortunately, also yes. Should Ezra Miller's wrongdoings become obscured by their performance in this? Absolutely not. Andy Muschietti running the ship was what made me confident that The Flash would be more inventive and fun than the worst superhero fare. His work on It Chapter 1 was great, and even though the second chapter suffered from a wonky script, I enjoyed Muschietti's directorial efforts. Well, The Flash is closer to Chapter 2 than Chapter 1, but much like that sequel, there's a lot of fun choices and flair here to send the story zipping along. For a movie that runs over 2.5 hours, it's paced really well, and the focus is kept squarely on Barry. All two of him. The central idea of Barry undoing his mother's death, and the catastrophe that comes from that on a plot level, as well as the theme of grief and letting go on an emotional level, that all works here. It really is just a shame that the current trend of multiversal cameos is on full display here, and it truly is some of the worst cameos of all time. The Flash features some of the most nonsensical and baiting cameos ever in a superhero film. Adam West, Christopher Reeve, George Reeves, and many more are unlovingly recreated using some of the sloppiest CGI you've ever seen. Everything during that scene is baffling, and you could cut the cameos out of the movie and the entire thing would keep on trucking. They're the purest form of internet baiting, and I think Warner Brothers have seriously overestimated how much people care for these kinds of appearances. Thanks for kicking off the Uncanny Valley resurrection of dead actors, Rogue One. Look what you've done! A CGI cameo gives me nothing, because without the actor, the character isn't there. So yeah, The Flash exemplifies the worst of superhero multiversal storytelling, but it also bizarrely exemplifies some of the best. Micheal Keaton returns to the Batsuit after a 30-year absence. After his third Batman movie stalled, we never thought we would see that iteration of the character ever again. So not only is it utterly surreal to see Micheal Keaton in this world again, what's most shocking is he hasn't missed a beat. Keaton still has the magic of Batman, and he makes it look effortless. It helps that the rest of the movie adequately captures his alter ego and all the assorted bat toys with aplomb.
I'm Batman.
Honestly, this is exactly what I want from a legacy character return. He kicks ass, he's fun, he doesn't overshadow the title character's story, he feels like a natural progression from where we left him, and he reminded me in every scene exactly what I like about this character. Legacy heroes coming back will always ultimately be a gimmick, but if you do it like The Flash does it, adding to the fun without consuming the narrative, then I wouldn't mind seeing those kinds of things in the future. I just have to say that I'm specifically talking about Bat Keaton and not all the other cameos. The other cameos, they suck. Bat Keaton, that was pretty golden. I love that we meet Bruce and he's still jumping around like an athlete. He's still as agile as a ninja and as powerful as a cage warrior. His old age has barely slowed him down, which is exactly what I expect from Batman. He never gives up. Of course he can still kick ass. This is about as Frank Miller Batman as you can get. I also love that Bruce tells Barry that Gotham is now one of the safest cities in the world thanks to the work of the Batman. For his role as a support and not a lead, I'm really happy that they did that. I don't need to see beloved characters again only to learn that they were broken and unhappy in the interim. Like in the new Indiana Jones film, they're blatantly going to write the wife and son he gained at the end of the last movie out of existence. Sure, people didn't gravitate towards Mutt Williams, but the character in universe is Indy's son. It's just miserable to think the last time I saw him, he was getting married to Marion, and he had a new lease on life, he discovered his son, and now that's all going to go away. I don't want to see characters stagnate after such a long time. I want to hear their lives have moved on. They deserve to be happy, right? If Batman gets to this age and he hasn't conquered crime in Gotham, then honestly, what's the point? I love that we find him as a scraggly bum, not because he's a broken Bruce Wayne, but because he's completed it, mate.
Completed it, mate.
There's a contented feeling that comes off of the character across this movie, and it feels really nice. Happy Batman doesn't work when he's in his prime, but I'm glad to see a lighter Batman at the end of his career. What he did for Gotham actually ended up mattering. It is funny that he totally looks like he's being played by Gene Cousineau, though. Wait a minute, he's also called Batman. I love that we get to see Bat Keaton on one more proper mission. We've never seen him kick ass outside of Gotham, so I welcomed the excursion to a Russian black site to free Superman. Not only did we get to see him in the snow again, but we got stealthy Keaton, we got Keaton blocking gunfire with his cape and using all manner of gadgets, and we got the best Bat Keaton hand-to-hand combat of his whole career. I think some people might find issue with the way he's moving, not least because of his age, but because he was so much slower and stiffer in the original movies. To me, it all comes down to the era of filmmaking and the effect that is trying to be conveyed. When I watched Bat Keaton as a kid, he moved just as well as the Batman of the comic books. It didn't matter that Keaton didn't actually move like that on screen because it came out in 1989. In my head, I still accepted that he was Batman and that he was the comic book's master martial artist and gymnast. So seeing him kick ass and move like this, to me, is just fully realising the potential he always had back from 1989. I really thought they were going to make him move like he used to and use it for laughs, but I'm so glad they didn't. Bat Keaton got a modern upgrade and it totally works. That goes for the batarangs and explosives too. Machete imbues this Batman with so much oomph and energy, he still feels really deadly, and you can tell he doesn't care about Batman being too old to kick ass. I remember when the first images of Keaton in his new suit came out, everybody was bitching. Of course, it looks like crap. An all-black Batsuit again? Where is Batfleck? Well, as is the case a surprisingly high amount of times, the suit actually looked great in the actual movie. Keaton looks great in all black, and there's a blue and grey suit going on in the movie anyway. Not all of the Batmen need the grey look, I'll die on that hill. This Batsuit feels like the final form for Bat Keaton. It's basically a streamlined, more unique version of the armoured Ablus look in Returns. It's form-fitting but looks far more manoeuvrable. Keaton still looks bloody great, even with the mask off. Is it not blowing anyone else away just how much Micheal Keaton has still got it? Old Man Bat is just really cool. I think a lot of the coolest moments were spoiled by the trailers. For example, the shot of all the bat suits comes in at a cool point in the movie, and if I hadn't have had it spoiled, I would have lost my mind at those other suits even more so. I really like that rather than avoiding catching us up, we're shown details of Bat Keaton's history. We know Gotham made progress, we know he went through a whole bunch of different eras to get there, we know his tech developed, we know his outlook got more optimistic, and we even get a little bit regarding Alfred, who it's implied has passed away at this point. That makes sense since we lost the real Michael Goff just a few years ago.
It's vice versa. It's supposed to be cold.
Sure, they blasted that Batman theme as much as they could, but it's a goated theme. That's exactly what they should be doing when they're bringing back legacy characters. Not playing the animated X-Men theme over Patrick Stewart, that makes no sense. It should have been the John Ottman theme. I got a healthy dose of Danny Elfman, and the last time I had the chance to hear one of his superhero themes, it was severely underused. So I'd much rather take the way Batman's theme is integrated in this movie. Hearing that theme evoked the Keaton era much more than anything else could, and I think it's nice to have that married with his new amped up fighting style. We also got the best usage of the Batwing ever. They really just wheeled out the Batmobile for a nostalgia shot because the jet is way more useful in this movie, and I guess that's probably the right move. They are globe-trotting and whatnot. It was just as surreal as it first looked in the trailers to see Keaton going toe-to-toe with Zod's Kryptonian ships. He does a pretty good job taking them down, and he feels useful in the final battle in spite of having no powers. That ejection sequence was all over the trailers, but it was still very satisfying in the finished film. My man even went toe-to-toe with Namek, the gigantic Kryptonian who laid out Cavill. Damn, I did not expect him to go blow to blow with this guy. It makes sense given where Bat Keaton is at. He's fought gangsters, a clown, penguin men, real penguins, and now at the end of his career, after Gotham is freed, after he's done everything he could possibly do, his last stand is against a god. I also like that even though he put up a good fight, of course he can't beat a Kryptonian. Well, on Earth anyway. If you'd like to see that, go check out that video, please, because it kind of bombed. Really, for me, the only Bat Keaton misstep in The Flash is unfortunately the most widely publicised moment.
You want to get nuts?
Come on!
Let's get nuts.
Yeah, that was awful. There was absolutely no need for it. It's a line that doesn't really mean anything to Bruce Wayne. He said it once 30 years ago. It doesn't even really make much sense in the context of the scene it's in. They don't want to get nuts. So, yeah, I wish they'd have taken that out because I've seen so much bitching about that it threatens to overshadow the good in Keaton's return. It's no worse than Norman Osborn saying I'm something of a scientist myself. That was equally unnecessary, but for some reason everybody loved that. If you could explain to me what the difference is between these equally lame moments, please let me know in the comments. without being a dick.
You're a dick. Okay.
I think this movie is kind of similar to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Both movies had lofty multiversal expectations from their fan bases, and then everyone was surprised to watch the movie and find out that they actually revolved around the title character. The cameos that did occur were at best a distraction, at worst nonsensical. Both Strange 2 and The Flash could remove their cameos, and the movies would be stronger for it. The most fun to be had in Doctor Strange 2 is when it goes more Terminator. I just want to see Scarlet Witch chasing Doctor Strange across the multiverse as he protects America Chavez. I don't want to see him get stuck talking to the Illuminati just so they can fight Wanda and get killed. The pace of a relentless chase from the most powerful witch ever was exciting enough. The Flash works the best when it's about Barry and I even liked Keaton's fake-out death. It was cool to see him say that his mission brought him back, he got to be Batman one more time, he did everything he sought out to do, and he could go content as an aged Caped Crusader. I call it a fake-out death because he was meant to return in the final scene, but it was reshot and he was replaced by...
Nespresso. What else?
Warner Brothers really miscalculated on all of these cameos. Whereas plenty of fans were clamouring for more Toby and Andrew, no one cares about seeing Clooney back. Not even George Clooney. You could practically see the dump truck of cash they wheeled up to this man's door. I don't even dislike Clooney's casting, I never have, but he doesn't carry much fanboy weight. It's surreal, but not very exciting, and nothing is done with it. Nespresso Batman turning up in a suit with a beard? Nah, that's just George Clooney. I really wish they'd have kept Keaton around. I gotta be honest, I was kind of into the original reported ending and the setup for both more Keaton and Affleck with an eventual Crisis movie. I'm not sure I'm into everything being reset. It kind of feels like we've had a lot of that, and this universe keeps going from strength to strength. Pretty much all of the Justice League could have kept going. There's a sequel script for this movie featuring The Flash with Keaton and Supergirl as ongoing supporting characters, and I'm kind of into that. I know a lot of people are jazzed for the reboot, and I like James Gunn a lot, but I was more excited when he had control of the freaks and weirdos.
Fuck. That's true.
I was hyped by the promise of more Suicide Squad stuff, more Peacemaker, more Bloodsport, more Ratcatcher. They all feel like distinct Gunn movie heroes, whereas I'm not sure I'm chomping at the bit to see his take on Superman and everything else. If we only got one more shot of Bat Keaton and those planned appearances have all turned to dust, then I think this is a pretty wicked way for him to be a supporting character in a new generation story. I had fun with The Flash. It's got some really bad scenes, but the majority of the movie is solid and fully embraces its comic book roots. I had fun with it. I think Barry's emotional arc is good. I like him teaming up with Batman and Supergirl, and it was fun. Batman was great. Both of them. Well, all three of them. I mean, George Clooney's still George Clooney, even if he has nothing to do. I could really go for an espresso right now. A big thank you to my full fat tier patron, Dr. Chike, and Nathan Shaw. If you'd like to donate money to my Patreon, you can find me at patreon.com/fullfatvideos. If you'd like to find me on Instagram, you can find me at full_fat_videos. And if you'd like to find me on Twitter, you can find me at fullfatvideos.